I prayed. I prayed and I prayed. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I'm your girl Carla, okay, and today I will be telling you guys about my miscarriage story. All right, so I had miscarried 3 years in a row, back to back, 2019, 2020, and 2021. It was 12 weeks, 14 weeks, and 18 weeks. All right, so my first miscarriage took place in Jamaica. I went to Jamaica, I think it was for about 4 months in 2019, and when I get to Jamaica I became pregnant and I was excited. It was like the best feeling, it was like the best gift. It's the best news you could ever hear, you know. I was in love, you know, and when you're in love and you found out that you're pregnant for the person you love, it's a different feeling. So I was excited and I was looking forward to having my baby. However, being there, you know, everything is fine, everything feels fine, everything seemed right. Then I started to have spots of blood. It was nothing to fill a panty line or anything. It was just spots. Anyway, you know me take everything serious, you know. So my start spot, I went to a private doctor. After I went to a private doctor, the doctor examined, everything was fine. Anyway, baby went too young still, you know. We did young, very young, but everything did fine. And then the doctor recommended me to do an ultrasound. I went to do the ultrasound, and after I went to do the ultrasound, I get to see my baby for the first time, and that monitoring the heart, you hear the heart beating. That's like a different feeling. You know, everything was fine at the ultrasound. Everything was fine. However, 3 days prior, before coming back to the US, I went to this little town in Chillarney, well, St. Anne. We call it Brownstown, right? So I went to get a few things because I'm traveling in 2 days. So, you know, I went to get a few things. On my way going to Brownstown, I started having these contractions. However, I didn't take it as anything serious. I'm like, you know, maybe it's normal. Because everything I Google, my best friend, call me Google everything. All right, so I'm saying, okay, it's normal. Then on my way back from Brownstone, heading back home, the contraction start get hotter and hotter, like pain start get hot. I said, no, sir, I'll make this a go on, so, you know. So after I got back to the house, I went straight to the bathroom. When I went to pee, in the toilet there was blood. I'm like, okay, something really wrong. I'm like, something is really wrong. So I'm like, I'm not gonna sit around. I head straight to the hospital. On my way to the hospital, I felt this rush of water just rush down my, you know, just rush down. No, I start getting real worried and scared because I'm like, this not right. Something is not right. And I start crying. After I felt the rush of what I'll break down in tears because I'm like, something is not right. After I got to the Falmouth Hospital, I was sitting in a wheelchair for around an hour before seeing anyone. So when I got to the hospital, after finally being seen and someone examined me, then a couple minutes after, I gave birth. I have my baby. And let me tell you, it was so hard. It was devastating. I was devastated. And no one knows. Like, they know I was hurting, but they didn't know to what extent. So after I came back to the US, a couple months after, I found out I'm pregnant again for the second time. Still excited. But I'm saying excited, fully excited. I'm saying yes. you know. So I found out I was pregnant before I even missed my period. So you know, my first OB visit, I was like 3 weeks pregnant. I start with my doctor appointment them very soon. I no itch. I no hesitate. I was had my appointments early. And I feel a lot more confidence because I'm like, okay, I'm back in the US where, you know, I'll be able to get better care and better treatment. Or, you know, if anything I go wrong, you will be able to catch. So I've been to my appointments and everything is fine. Baby fine, baby healthy, run on 1,000,001 blood tests, everything good. Baby I grow healthy, you know. So one blessed day I ended up having sex, and after having sex I fell asleep. And when I wake up to use the bathroom, I feel like something was coming. And I didn't hesitate. I rushed straight to the hospital. I live like 6 minutes away from the hospital. I went to the hospital. I was at the university hospital for hours just waiting to see a doctor. So even if there was a possibility that my baby could have survived the long wait just to see a doctor, there was no chance. There was no chance. And after being put in a room for hours just waiting to see a doctor, I was so frustrating. Well, let me tell you, when I say pain I lick me, I mean pain I lick me. You hear what I'm telling you? Say? So I was going to leave. Anyway, I ended up staying. I didn't see a doctor until 10 p.m. the night, and I got to the hospital around 6 p.m. And when I finally see a doctor, they took me to an examining room to examine to see what was going on. However, when they inserted the speculum, it broke my head water. Right? So you know, once the head water break, that was it. That was it. The baby didn't stand a chance. And I lose my precious baby boy. His name was Enzo. He had a name. And the funny thing is that whenever I become pregnant, I become so attached from earlier on. Eve, if you can't hear, I am talking to you. I am talking to my 1 week belly, my 1 month belly, you know? Yes, I am here and I'm having discussion. So I grew so attached. And that pregnancy loss, it broke me to the core. When I said it breaks me right down. I didn't know if I was able to come back from that. I'm never back from it. Like, I haven't. I'm not. So after I lost my baby, the only thing, because you know, being in the hospital, losing your baby, and you feeling all of this pain, and knowing in yourself that you're gonna leave this hospital without a child, that hurts. So when I lost my baby boy, this little hat, this little hat, crochet hat they gave to me as a token. And I've been holding on to this for what, 2 years now. I've been holding on to this. This is what they gave to me. So after I lost Enzo, a couple months after that again, I found out I was pregnant again. And I was traumatized. I don't know if I was supposed to be happy or I was supposed to be sad, because I didn't want to experience what I experienced losing 2 child. So I said, I can't do this on my own. I said, in this pregnancy, Mr. God, me, I gotta put you in at the midst, because I can't do this without you. And throughout my whole pregnancy, I prayed. I prayed and I prayed. And I said, God, I only asking one thing of you. It's just that you let my baby come. And I prayed. Month 1 come, everything is fine. Month 2 come, everything is fine. Everything was going so good. Everything was going so fine. This time around, I didn't name the baby. I felt like if anything should happen, it probably would hurt less. Me not, you know. But it wasn't. It wasn't true. So after I went to my OB, because I changed hospital, I changed OBGYN. You know, I tried to do everything different this time around. Start going to the hospital early because I consider myself high risk, because if I lost 2 baby, I am high risk. So, you know, I start seeing my OB very early. I explained to my OB, I'm like, listen, this is what happened with my last 2 pregnancy. And I told her, I'm like, I felt like I have low womb. You know, in the Caribbean, we call it low womb. In America, they said that you have incompetent cervix. So I told her, I'm like, is it possible for me to get, you know, the cervical circlage, which is the stitching of the uterus? So she said to me, she's like, it's not something that they could just let you do like that. Like, she said, when I'm 17 weeks, I would have to do an ultrasound, and then it will determine if I am qualified to get the cervical circlage. So at week 17, I went in to do the ultrasound. However, I don't know what happened at that ultrasound. The technician said I was supposed to come back like in 2 weeks to redo back the ultrasound. I didn't make it back to that appointment. Like a couple days after, I start feeling this pressure in my lower abdomen, and I just know, I knew. And in myself, I was thinking maybe it's because the baby is getting bigger. You know, I'm ending the 4th month of pregnancy. So, you know, the baby is growing. So I started having this pressure, and I went to the hospital. I went to the North Beth Israel Hospital. And after sitting there for hours, I was placed in a room. And I was in that room for hours. I was like, it's like, me, I wondered to myself, did they remember that they leave someone in a room? I was there for hours till I grew very impatient, and I decided to leave the hospital. And I blame myself, because I'm like, what if I hadn't leave? Maybe if I hadn't leave, they would have catched the problem, and then, you know, maybe they would have done something, and maybe I would be able to have my child. But I left the hospital, and I came home. And I was here, you know, being pregnant. Like, I take so much precaution. I wasn't doing anything. There was no sex, because this time around, I'm not doing nothing to risk losing this child. I wasn't having sex. I don't leave my house unless I have a doctor appointment. I don't do nothing. I just eat and sleep, and that's it. So after being home one night, it was probably around 9 p.m. in the night, I was feeling for an egg, because for some reason I really love cook egg. So I get up on the sofa. I was laying in the sofa on my back all this time. I get up on the sofa, say I'm going to cook a egg. When I went to the kitchen, I felt like something is coming again. An instant flashback again about what I went through with the past 2 pregnancy. So I knew what was happening. I rushed to the hospital. On my way to the hospital, I start having contraction. And I just knew I was losing my baby again. After getting to the hospital, after finally getting a room, it wasn't even a room because you know it was through the COVID, so hospital was full to capacity. The maternity ward didn't even have a bed on it for me, so I literally gave birth in the emergency room. I was in labor for hours. Do you know what it feels like? Let me tell us something. Baby pain at. When I say baby pain at, baby pain is oh. So after they gave me this couple tablet to take, that's what gonna send on the contraction for me to have the baby. Right, so backtrack. After being placed in the room and thing, then there for a while, and then a doctor came to examine. So I said to the doctor, I'm like, can you not use a speculum to examine me? Because the last pregnancy they used a speculum and it break my head water. I'm like, can you use your hand to examine? And he used his hand to examine, and through the examination, my water broke again. And then I break down again because I know exactly what that means. So after my head water broke, the doctor said I have two options. I can either go home because the baby is still alive. I can either go home and the baby live for a couple weeks, or I could have the baby. And I I couldn't bear to think my baby inside suffering. Because it's not gonna be in any fluid, it's just gonna be like a little bit of fluid. I couldn't bear to know that he's inside and he's suffering. So I decided to have the baby. And then again, it's the same procedure all over. Having to go through all this pain. Again, I was pregnant with a boy again. Having to go through all of that pain. Knowing that you're a mother without a child is very hard. It's very hard. So no one actually knows what it feels like, and unless you've been in the situation, like you will never know what it feels like. Worse when it's something that you wanted. It hits you differently. And it's been very hard. It's been very hard. You know, you get up each day and you try to put the best on the outside. You're trying to be there for everybody. And you know what hit harder is when you doesn't have the support system. That's crazy. Because when you're going through something like that, you need all the support you can get. But when you have to carry the load all by yourself, when you have to face it all by yourself, it's very hard. And then, you know, being Caribbean, we're taught to never show our feelings. So what we do, we put it in a little box inside and we carry that. There are days I felt like my heart is just gonna explode. Like my heart is literally gonna explode on my chest. And I get up every day, same way. I carry on. You know, I make sure everyone around me is fine. I try to put my best out there for everyone. But no one actually knows the hurt, the pain that I faced that I go through on a daily. But I'm strong. I don't ever let people see my weakness. I don't ever, you know, I'm just hard. I'm just, you know, or maybe I pretend to be this hard or this strong person, but truly it's hard, guys. So basically that's my miscarriage story. And for anyone out there who is going through the same thing, don't ever give up and don't ever lose faith. I told myself that if it's to be, it will be. And if this is what God wanted for me, then it will happen, you know? Just leave it all to God. So for right now, I'm waving my mind. Oh no. Kids is something that I've always wanted. But if it's not meant for me, I am fine with that. You know, I've come to the terms that I'll be okay. So for anyone out there who's ever lost a child, who's suffering from miscarriage, it's hard, and I know it's hard. It's not easy. But with time, it will get better. With time, it will get better. As we Caribbean people said, God on time, right? So basically, and it's not a lot of people will be able to be strong as I am. So if it's, you know, seek counseling. I know so we grew up in a talk with feelings, but seek counsel and make sure you have a strong support system that works. When you have people around you that love and care for you, you know, and try to pull you out of that dark place, that is good. So make sure you have a strong support system. So that's my miscarriage story. Hope you guys enjoy. Remember to please subscribe, like, and share. Okay, and thanks for watching. Your girl is out. Bye.